Okay, my Honda CR-V died on me. Been working on it a lot, made a lot of changes. Now I've gotten one that's kind of out of my skill range as far as repairing it. And now it's time to put the starter in this Miata. From what I've read online, and I can't find a video anywhere, so I'm going to make this video hopefully to help others. It's that you need to jack this baby up. You need to go in through the driver's side wheel well to get to it, and it's a pain in the butt, so I'm going to try to get pictures and track everything that I can and hopefully help out somebody else. As hard as this is, I think this might be a popular video if I can get it recorded. First thing I'm going to do is disconnect the battery, because we got connections to the battery in here, and basically the battery's kept under here. I'm going to just disconnect this negative here, and I'll go from there. Okay, this bolt, as on most of the cars, is a 10mm socket, so I'm going to take off the negative. Next, I'm going to break the nuts here, because what I've read, you need to go through the wheel well. So I'll break the nuts, then I'm going to jack this baby up, and they say jack it up high on jack stand, so I'm going to jack this baby up and put it high up on the jack stand as I can get it, and then we'll get underneath and start looking at what it takes to get that starter off. Myself, I have a second battery in the trunk for my stereo equipment, so got to make sure that this secondary battery has been disconnected also. So when I'm jacking the car up, I always put one brick behind the wheel, then one brick in front of the other wheel, because when you're jacking it up, it wants to move back, but it also tries to pull forward on the other side. So just do this to have it chalked up on in both directions. As you can see, at this moment I've got it jacked up pretty high on this one side. I'm going to get the other side jacked up too, but right now this wheel is off the ground, so you have to be careful when you're jacking your car up. Once I get the other side in the air, it'll set this one back on the ground, and then we'll be ready to get underneath and see if we can get an eye on all the connections and bolts and access. I still haven't taken that wheel off yet, but it's going to come off, and we're going to get in through the side well over there, and we'll go from there. Okay, there's the starter right there. And basically what you're really looking at is the solenoid on top of the starter, and the starter connects in here. I'm not exactly sure what's going to be the easiest way to get to those bolts, because I see some people say you can reach the connectors and stuff from down here, and there's another bolt, like got some 12 and 14mm bolts up there, but I'm not exactly seeing the bolts, and it doesn't look easy. It's going to be a hard job, and it's going to take me a while. Hopefully we can get this baby out of here. Man, that doesn't look easy though. Say you can get to some of the stuff from here. It's going to be touch and go. They say remove some stuff from the wheel well, but I really can't see what needs to be removed, because it looks like body frame pieces are all in the way. But there that baby is. It's back up in there, and we'll see if we can get our eyes on the bolts and nuts and everything that holds it in place. Luckily I got time. My part won't be in until 3, and it's before noon, hopefully still. This has been slow going, just setting everything up for me. Right now, the only thing I can see is maybe disconnect this bracket here holding the brake line in place, get it loose here, and see if it can give me a little room to get in there and see things. But they say remove this wheel well cover. I don't exactly know what they mean, because all of this here up here is framed in the way. The only thing that can move is probably this right here, and only thing I see attaching that is the brake line. Other than that, there's not much access room over here. Doesn't look like much access room on the bottom either, but we shall see. So this piece must be the piece they tell you to move out of the way, because it looks like the only thing that'll give you a little more visibility and it just pops in, and then there's a bolt. Well, mine had a tie wrap holding it to the brake line right here. Brake line bracket screws in there. And other than that, I don't see anything that gives you more visibility in there than what we got right now. Now it's time to find the starter connections and bolts. Okay, where my thumb is a bracket, and I did read that you had to remove a bracket. I can feel the top side of feels like a bolt, maybe a 10 or 12 milliliter. I don't know. I'm going to try to get something on there, and I'll let you know. The bolts for the brake line were 10 millimeters. Okay, if you can see right there where I've got the bracket, I've got a box end ratcheting wrench. I suggest you buy some of these if you don't have them, because that baby is in a tight place. It's a 10 millimeter, you can reach it. And I'm going to take this one loose and go for the next one. There's two on this bracket if I'm not mistaken. Okay, this 10 millimeter, I took loose this cable you see up here. Looks like it may be the positive power cable. I don't know if it's a positive cable or a ground, but it's in this harness right here, and it's one bolt loose. Okay, this is the other nut holding this piece right here, this bracket on. I think this may be the 14 millimeter they've been referring to. I'll let you know in a second when I get my ratcheting wrench on there. And you can get both of these nuts and bolts from the bottom here, where I'm filming from, between the braces for the frame. They're both accessible from down here. Okay, as you see, I've got my ratcheting wrench on there, and it's actually a 12 millimeter bolt on this nut here. 12 millimeter nut on this bracket here. So reaching in from the bottom and the side, holding the wrench on, ratcheting it off from the bottom. Let me get it off. There's that little nut. I sure hope I'm taking a piece parts that are necessary and not ones that are unnecessary. But you live and you learn. Well, it looks like this may be the first bolt. Well, that's a nut securing the starter to the bell housing or to the motor. That is a bigger nut right there, so I'm going to assume that's the 14 millimeter, because I think we had a 10 and a 12, and now we got a 14 millimeter. I'll verify in a second. So I've been pulling and jerking around these cables, and you see this little green connector here. It only has one wire, and I keep pushing and tugging on the cables up here, and just so I don't damage that wire, I'm going to pull that connector off right there. It goes right into the oil pan, so that I'm sure that's some kind of, to the oil filter connection right here. So I'm sure that's some kind of sensor that is monitoring the oil temperature or something along that line. But I'm going to remove that to get it out of my way so I don't damage the one little wire that goes. Looks like that's a little harder to take off than what I thought. I thought I'd just have to press down on a little clamp and release it, but I can't seem to find that. I can wiggle it a little bit, but I can't seem to wiggle it off. So I'm just going to have to be careful with this. But I still, right up here, let me see if I can get you to see. This is the power cable, and I'm going to be able to get to it to the side. I popped the little cap off that's covering it. So I got this one up here that I can get to from the side, and then I'm going to get that one that looks like maybe a 14 millimeter holding it to the bell housing. So yes, this big nut that was holding the bracket on, this one is like a 14 millimeter nut. I'm going to remove it. And this is the one I took that first cable off. I guess that was a ground cable because it's all connected to the frame and the motor, bell housing, transmission bell housing, whatever it is that it's connected to. And then we're going to go get the main power cable. I think there might be one more bolt left, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, the power connector, positive power connector, that's a 12mm bolt. You get the ratchet in from down here also and disconnect it. I'll show you when I have the ratchet on, and then I'll just ratchet it up. Okay, I got it on there. Just takes a little ratcheting. It's not really tight because these are sometimes some ceramic connectors and stuff like that, so you don't want to tighten them too tight. You should just start cracking the insulators. Okay, here's the bolt that was mounted on the bracket. Bracket was mounted on this part. This part goes in, this long part goes into the housing and secures it to the motor or the bell housing. So what I used to get this off, I used a deep socket, a 14mm, but I'll tell you what, the minute you break it, you just tighten it back up a little bit and get this deep socket off, because if you continue to back it out, your socket is going to get stuck between the frame and the bolt. It won't let you back it all the way out, because it's not a nut, it's actually a bolt, when I originally thought it was a nut. So break it with this, tighten it back in. Don't tighten it real tight like it was, but tighten it back in so you can get your socket out. And then I bought a swivel ratchet head closed in wrench, and these are slim. You get your socket out, and then you get this in there, and you can back the entire bolt out without a problem at that point. I've got one more bolt. That's a tough one. It's out of sight, out of mind. I don't know if I can get that deep socket on there or not, and then get the swivel ratchet head on there or not, but I'm gonna try. And then I got this red and blue cable here that goes on the back side. It's got a little slider connector that it's just slid on, but once I get it loose, I can get the position to get this off and also try to pull the starter off. Not sure if you can see that wrench, but it's that little shiny silver right in the middle of the screen there. That's the little silver locking mechanism on my swivel head ratcheting wrench. Right there in the center is it. I don't know how I'm going to break this loose. I think I have it on there. The only thing I can think of is to put maybe some rope around the end and stick my hand up there and hold it in place just to break it. If it's as tight as the other, it's going to be pretty hard, because I actually had to lift myself up from the ground, like doing a pull-up from the chest to break it. But once I get it broken, I can probably notch it one ratchet at a time to get it loose. But we shall see. Have no idea how I'll get it tight again. That's a whole different story. If you look just beyond the bell housing, you can see my finger moving. And that's where the bolt is. It's a real tight fit. Been trying everything, but I'll tell you what works when I get it done. This is the last bolt on removal. It's been crazy. You can see my finger touching it. Okay, finally getting it out of the car. This is the way I'm bringing it out the nose part first, kind of bringing the nose part in flat, and then twist it to where the solenoid is situated, where you see it now, and pull it forward and take a little wiggling, but gonna get it out. And then we're going to take the new one back in this way and work it back in the same way we're taking this one out.